Hi, everyone. This is Moses Ross. I am the president of the Multnomah Neighborhood Association. Here, let me make sure that you can see me here. There we go. Um, there we go. And it is Tuesday, March 11th at 7:05 p.m. And you are attending the March general meeting of the Multnomah Neighborhood Association. So thank you for being here. Right now we have 13 people online. We also have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 people in person here at Riversgate Church. Our guest speakers, we have 2 guest speakers this evening. First one will be the executive director of the D4 Coalition, the District 4 Coalition, which is the equivalent to the old Sweeney, but for the entire district of District 4 now, and that's Darlene Garrett. And Patti, I always mispronounce your last name. Waitman-Ingebretsen, Patti Waitman-Ingebretsen. And Patti is with the Multnomah Historical Society Association, and she's going to give us an update on some work that we are collaboratively doing together to help both of our groups. So let me pull up the agenda real quick. Alrighty, first part of the agenda here is the review of the agenda and the previous minutes. The previous minutes are all available in the meeting materials public folder on Google. Here, wait a minute, let me put that into our chat for the folks online. Chat.
Nancy.
Oh, stop. Not tonight. There we go. Okay. All right, sorry about that. My program froze for a second here. Wait a minute. What I'm trying to do here, folks, is put the agenda, or pardon me, the meeting folder link into the chat for the folks online. No, it's just not working. Shoot. Let me try one more time, folks, and then if not, I'm gonna have to have somebody else help me here.
I looked this is Peter. I looked a while ago for the minutes in and I didn't find them in the meeting materials.
Yeah. Well, can you do me a favor, please, and put that public folder link into the chat? For some reason, it's not allowing me to. Let's see here. And so did you say that the minutes were not in there? If not, just for expedience purposes, we'll have to bring them back up for the next meeting and make sure that people get a chance to review them along with the meeting minutes for this last meeting.
Excuse me, Moses, this is Lisa. I went into the website and the meeting minutes are there. I copied them and have them right in front of me.
Oh, fantastic, Lisa. Thank you very much for that.
Mm.
Are there any changes to either of the agenda or the previous minutes that we need to be made aware of that folks are noticing? If not, we'll go to the next point on the agenda, and that would be the review of the meeting procedures. We're not having a vote tonight, so there is no credentialing necessary for folks to place a vote. So there's no procedures per se that we need to go over tonight. Although I will say that we will have we have our guest speaker that will be speaking for 15 minutes, and If you want to ask a question, you can place it into the chat during the meeting, during the discussion. Next up, the officers' report. The chair does not have a report. The treasurer, let me also say the secretary is not here tonight. She is at Hamilton getting her one shot. She's taking her one shot to see Hamilton tonight. And so she's there. But I do know the treasurer has a report, so I'll defer the microphone to him. Go ahead, Peter.
Yeah, actually, Moses, I wanted to start with a question for the president. A couple of questions. Uh, where are we in the search for vice president? That office is vacant right now.
That we are accepting applications for a vice president. As of right now, we do not have one unless you're volunteering to be both.
And my second question is, I'm starting to feel a need for reconvening the governance committee. But
You'll
in
notice that on the agenda that we do have that addressed for next April. Oh, you're talking about the governance.
governance committee, yeah.
Okay.
And in the absence of that, could I suggest that we discuss designating the officers as an executive committee to which we could take issues about rulemaking and governance questions.
Okay. We can add that to your treasurer's report. Thank you. All right. Next up, did you want to give an actual treasurer's report, or you just
I
gonna
did, yeah.
pontificate?
Thank you, everybody. It looks like I can request sharing. I need to request sharing, which I just did. I posted a finance report about a week ago, and I just wanted to open by asking if there are any questions about it.
Peter, you should have access to sharing already.
Okay, I do now. Thank you. Okay. Are you seeing a finance report dated March 11th? Yes? No? Are people seeing that? Yes,
We are.
thank you.
Yes, we are.
Thank you. So on this is a two-page report. It's pretty brief. There are a couple of changes since I filed this a week ago. You can see the amount of money we have in the bank, in addition to the receivables of $500. That's a grant from Wyden and Kennedy for Art in the Village project. We also have secured in the last week a $3,500 grant from Metro to work on some trash removal. A project that Julie would describe in some detail if she were here. That's one of her many wonderful projects. I wanted to add to the M&A budget that's on the screen right now. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There are 6 committees that have not turned in budgets yet. But I wanted to just point out that the total of those of their spending authority, their respective spending authority is almost $5,900. And that becomes, I just want to point that out as we move to the second page, and this is the operating budget for the year. There are a couple of things I wanted to point out about this. One is this total, the fund balance at the start of the year. No, let me back up. So not every committee is here. Committees that have not turned in budgets don't appear here. So, and that was just in the interest of space and making sure that this chart was legible. And what it means, though, is that $5,900, almost $6,000 will be added to the fund balances for the entire organization. It's really a remarkable figure when you consider that 2 years ago we had either $362 or $384 in the bank. We've done amazing things in the past couple of years. I've already raised a couple of questions about committees and some more questions about committees, just the way we're organized came up as I was building this budget and trying to figure out how to track all our activity. Um, Little free library, little free puzzle library, these first two columns. You can see at the bottom, there's a line for transfer. So what happened is Little Free Library raised more than they needed. And even after setting aside $600 for springtime activities associated with the reinstallation of the Little Free Library and $300 to be kept in for maintenance and graffiti removal, who knows what, just maintenance and repairs in the future. They're able to transfer $222 over to the next Little Free project, which is a puzzle library near the foot of Spring Garden Park. In the upper part of the table here, livability, there's some discussion now about making that its own committee rather than being under the umbrella of community events. The questions I have just structurally are, how do we do that? How do we notify the board? Or what kind of discussion do we invite about that? Art in the Village is a project that Julie has described to us. This is a project that I kind of feel a little like we're out over our skis and we need to do a little more planning. No, correct that, a lot more planning about what an Art in the Village initiative looks like. This would be a big deal if it involves public art, and it would certainly need to include collaboration with other neighborhood organizations, the Business Association, the Multnomah Arts Center, other arts-related organizations. But for now, they have their own little column under community events. As announced to us last time by Pam, Friends of Spring Garden Park, it's now its own project, has its own column on this table. Let's see. Oh yeah, and there's a $1,000 fee for the free-for-all in the park that's missing from this. So there are tweaks to this document, but this is what we have to date as a budget for the rest of the year, for the entire year for the organization. So I hope to have for the April meeting a final operating budget that I would move to that the board adopt. Just a few other things. I also will be posting tomorrow. In fact, if you look carefully, it's posted there now. A year-end financial statement, both a statement of financial position, that is what we own and what we owe, and a statement of financial activity, which is what we earned last year and what we spent last year. That also still requires some polishing up. Any financial document is like a work of art. It's never done. So we do our best to present complete and accurate information, but there are lots of ways to interpret financial data, and I will do my best to make sure things are clear and transparent. What I could use from people is, so what I'd like to ask you to do, we're having trouble getting, for reasons too boring to describe, we had to reconfigure our PayPal and Venmo accounts. There are now QR codes on the website, and what I would ask you to do, please, is to go into the website, find your way to the donation page, and just tell me what you see when you click on the QR codes. We had an event last night. It was a kickoff for the Art in the Village project, and there are apparently two channels to getting to PayPal, to those platforms, PayPal and Venmo, and one channel works and the other channel doesn't. I went in a while ago, made a donation to on Venmo, but was unable to reach our PayPal site. So if you would please do this little experiment for me, and while I'm at it, let me invite you to actually make a donation to the Multnomah Neighborhood Association, your favorite charity of the evening. But you could really help me if by running that little experiment. And if it turns out to be a problem, I'm going to need help. We're tracking outside my wheelhouse now when it comes to expertise of setting up online paying. So if you have some expertise or some interest in helping us figure that out, that would be terrific. And I think that's it from your treasurer this evening. Here's another question. Am I the only one who cares about these documents? Sometimes I feel that way. Raise your hand if you read my reports.
I think it's really
All
helpful.
right, Judith, you're my hero. Bam.
Yeah.
Thank you.
No, it's really, this is getting increasingly complex. And I think this is really, really essential. So thank you for doing it.
And we'll be
Thank you,
definitely
Pam.
going into we'll go into much more detail as a board on the financial stuff at the April work session.
Great. Thanks, everybody. And thank you for coming out this evening.
Okay. And go ahead and stop sharing your screen. There we go. Okay.
Moses, I was just wondering if we were going to address Peter's first questions, like, is that later in new business? Is that going to be during the April workshop?
Which was the first question again? There were so many.
Yeah, he was asking about the I forgot how you phrased it, Peter, but one of the questions was about moving the livability community outside of community events and whether or not that's just for the purposes of financial reporting. And then he was also brought up the governance committee and all of the programs and review and stuff like that.
Well, if we're kind of on a tight agenda time frame tonight, I think that they're important, but I think both of those issues could wait until the workshop in April. The livability committee is a subcommittee of the community events committee at this moment in time. And, we've done pretty good so far with it, but the reason that it's coming up to make it a committee is because Julie's just taking a lot more projects, and probably from the financial standpoint, it'd be easier to add a column than to integrate a column into the
Let me just say,
right?
it's not about the bookkeeping or about the charting or tabling. It's really about sort of organizationally, how do we handle these kinds of discussions. And thank you for following up, Diane, but my intention is there are a couple more times in the meeting where I'm going to ask questions about committees, is that this would be something we discuss in more depth and detail at the April work session.
I think that's appropriate. And I'll save my questions and comments for the community reports at the end for the interest of time. But I would like to make sure that we do leave enough time to go over those reports.
Sounds good.
Thanks.
Yep.
All righty, up next. And speaking of work sessions, we have scheduled a work session for the board on April 15th, Tuesday, April 15th, and that is the third Tuesday of the month.
Moses, you have a question on the floor.
All right. Hey, William, how are you? Hey, Bill. What's your question, sir? Can't hear you.
Peter, in terms of your question, was it about the agenda? I mean about the budget. Are you getting what you need out of it? That's the first question.
Well, let me just say, I don't want to take a lot of time, but let me just say I've never worked for a nonprofit where people didn't turn in a budget. I started asking in maybe October, but certainly by November. Tell me what your plans are for the next year. And I have worked with nonprofits where the budget doesn't get approved by the board until March or April or May even, but the more than half of our committees have not talked with the treasurer about what they hope to or plan to do this year. And it's just unusual. And it may be a reflection of we're a young, immature, and inexperienced nonprofit. And
I think a lot of it has to do with you're expecting us to be a nonprofit that's up and running, and we're less than a year old technically. So give us time, Peter. Give us time, please. And when it comes to the budgets for the individual committees, you can always just do a placeholder for 500. We had discussed just allotting them a budget, a set budget for each committee, if you remember correctly. So it's not like you don't have numbers for them. You do have numbers for them because of the placeholder. It's just that what you're looking for is unique projects from each of those committees, and not every committee has unique projects where they need money. So, right?
understood. Yeah. But talk to me. Just tell me. Tell me you're not planning on spending any money or bringing in any money. And then I can build in a column of zeros, and we'll see where things stand at the end of the year. So
The
Committee chairs?
other quick question is, Peter, do you have a kind of like a format that you would give to a committee, and which would be, I need this kind of information in terms of figures? Or is it too complex, or is it too different?
no, it's not. It's not complex. Where I've started, Bill, is really by just asking people to come and talk to me, so I can assess where they are in their sort of financial literacy, and figure out how I can best help them.
Okay,
It's it's a fluid process,
yeah,
and that's fine.
okay,
Really.
thanks.
But it is noteworthy.
Alrighty, I'm noticing that it's 7:27, and so for us to stay on time, I'm going to go ahead and move the agenda around a little bit. We haven't had our announcements yet, but we're getting really close to the time for our guest speakers. So what I'm going to do is first I'm going to pass the mic to Patti for an update on the Historical Association. And then after she's finished, we'll go straight into our guest speaker, and then we'll circle back around and we'll talk about the other announcements that we have on the agenda. So, having said that, let me go ahead and hand the microphone to Patti.
Thank you. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Patti Waitman-Ingebretsen. I lived on Capitol Highway for 45 years, probably longer than some of you have been alive. I went to Multnomah School, and so did my children. And I was president of Multnomah Historical for quite a long time, during the centennial, which was 2008. We have been inactive for a lot of reasons. One of them, we ran out of money, and we had everything in storage. And most recently, we had the good fortune to connect with Multnomah Neighborhood, who has helped us find some space in the lower level of what we would call the old fire station and its neighborhood house. And we're very excited to be there because it gives us access to our collection, and hopefully we'll be able to get our arms around it. We are in a place where we're really hopeful. We have a lot of people that have been showing interest. Originally, we were Multnomah Historical, preserving the history of Southwest neighborhoods, and that's what we had done for a long time, 48 years. So with that, we are hopeful to gain new members, and those members will be volunteers or help in some way because, for instance, our website is gone. We had a lot of stuff on it, and some is retrievable and some has not been retrievable. And that may be because the guy who's trying to do it is works full time from home, and he lives in Vancouver. So he's doing the best he can, but we're looking for help with that. Plus, the other thing is that we don't really have a web page per se. And then someone bought our name, Multnomah Historical. And if you put it into your browser, you get I believe it could be Vietnamese fighters. So it's not working really well. So we have some work to do on the IT front, and we have a lot of things we could do. Maria has been really, really helpful, and she's got a million ideas, and she's a real go-getter. So that's exciting. My plan along the way had been to mark the buildings in Multnomah that were significant with a picture of what it looked like this theater and how it was sitting and everything, and a little story about it on each one of the buildings. Well, we had the idea, but we kind of ran out of steam. So we're hoping to research, get new volunteers, get new people. Right now we have 3 people over 80 who have been working really hard to hold it together. So I thank you. I would also like to mention that I was the unofficial secretary for about 2 years for Moses in the past when there wasn't one. So anyway, the numbers were different though in those days. They were very different. Anyway, I brought some membership forms and I sent some to Will Fuller. And the idea is to pass them out, get people signed up. Right now, we're leaving it with the old prices, and that won't last long. But anyway, we're really hopeful, and we really need members, and we need volunteers. Thank you.
Does anybody have any questions for Patti about the Historical Association and their work that they are doing?
Patti, this is Peter.
Hi.
And hi, hey, I just want to make sure you and Will are working on scheduling a time when we can all meet in the office and talk about rearranging stuff.
Yes, we have been talking about that. I am on jet lag and time change from daylight. I came in from Texas and Alabama, and I haven't slept in 24 hours. So, you know, I'm doing the best I can, but we will get it done.
That's great.
I see that Diane has her hand up. Go ahead, Diane.
Yes, Moses, this is Matt. I just had a question. How can we keep in touch and how can we be involved? I know that you had mentioned that your website is down. Is there a way that we can put a link or
There's two
contact
Facebook-
information
There's
on
2
the
Facebook pages that I started one, and one other guy started one. So, and I've never figured out how to merge them yet. But you can communicate that way. And the membership form the rough draft is on the Facebook page.
Right. Can we
And-
share that with the neighborhood association website somewhere?
Oh, sure. No problem there at all.
You know, Matt, what we'll end up doing, this is Moses, what I'll make sure
Yep.
that we do is in the next Multnomah Messenger, the next email that we send out to the field, we'll make sure that there are direct links to both the Historical Society membership form and to any specific projects that you're talking about.
Okay, that's good.
And
That would
way
be
we
great.
can
Thank you.
make sure that we get that.
Just
info.
trying real hard to get it out there. Thank
Oh,
you.
and Pam also mentions here, she'll add it to our website as well as soon as she gets the links. Good. And then I see that Stefan has a question as well.
Hi, no, I just wanted to say that I think this is great. Thank you. I know when I was first getting into transportation advocacy, I was trying to do some research on some of the historical uses of the public right-of-way, and I reached out to the group and never heard back, but this is very exciting. I would be an enthusiastic volunteer if I had a second of time. So maybe in about 16 years, I'll be an empty nester and I'll be able to help out.
Full thinking, Stefan, wishful thinking.
So,
As someone
Thank
who
you.
is someone who has just become an empty nester finally after 16 years, you find yourself with a lot of time on your hands. Let's just put it that way. Okay, so here, let's, one last thing here. Okay, so let me, in summary then, what we'll do is we'll make sure that in the next outbound communication from the Neighborhood Association, we'll have all the links that are related to the Historical Association and other projects and ways for people to get involved. I love the synergy of what we've got going on here. back when, 10 years ago, when when the historical association, and when you were an officer of the neighborhood association, you were doing a weekly, almost monthly email newsletter. It was, and I know that we can get it back to those levels. I just know it. There's enough volunteers out here that we can get it back. Okay, next. Our guest speaker for this evening is Darlene Garrett, and she is the executive director of the District 4 Coalition, the Sweeney equivalent, just using that as a reference point. There are, Darlene, the floor is yours.
Hi, everyone. Is it on?
Hi.
I'm so happy to be here, and thank you for inviting me. This is really the favorite part of my job, is being out here with the neighborhoods. I wish I got to do it more often, but I'm happy to be here. I'm going to talk for a little bit. I don't have a formal presentation or PowerPoint. I'm going to tell you a little bit about the District 4 Coalition, and then I'm going to open it up to questions, because I do know that there will be a few questions about the District 4 Coalition. So, as you know, when the city reinvented itself under our change of government, the city divided itself into 4 districts, and our district, District 4, takes up the entire west side of the Willamette. So our neighborhoods go all the way out past Linton and all the way down to the southern border of Multnomah County. We also go all the way, like Forest Park. We have a lot of the hill neighborhoods. So we go all the way to the border in Beaverton, and then we also have our special group of southeast neighborhoods, which are pretty much probably the best neighborhoods on the east side, I'm going to have to say. Selwood, Eastmoreland, Reed, and Johnson Creek, Ardenwald. So it's a big district geographically. It's a weird district because we're separated, our neighborhoods are separated by the river. But I think that we're working our way through actually becoming a somewhat strong coalition. We are far ahead of other coalitions that were given 3 times the number of neighborhoods. We used to be neighbors west-northwest. We had 11 neighborhoods. Now we're 32. 28 of those are registered members. We have a couple of neighborhoods that we're working on reinvigorating, if you will, bringing them back online. And in total, we have 32 neighborhoods that we are working with. Our vision statement, is I wanted our vision statement to be a little bit different, but we brought all the District 4 folks together, and our vision statement is fostering a resilient and inclusive community through collaboration, kindness, and resourcefulness. Our coalition strives for effectiveness, respect, and unity in building a thriving district. I'm glad we landed on this vision statement because we have brought different cultures together. An inner city culture is very different than the culture here in the Southwest. The culture here in the Southwest and our inner city neighborhoods are different than our East neighborhoods. So while we may not have ethnic diversity, what we do have is it's a cultural diversity. We work with people with yards and people with no yards. We have houseless folks in our district, and many of them. So we're a little bit different. I didn't really consider the fact that we were going to have cultural differences between Southwest and inner city neighborhoods and even the East neighborhoods, but we do. And those were the differences that we've had to work through most of all. I feel very good about where our District 4 coalition. We have an executive committee, 9 members selected from all
You froze, and I think it's you because some of us are still able to move around online.
Yeah, it's frozen on my end too.
Same here.
Same here.
Me too.
So it's not us, it's them.
Well put.
Who's missing?
They crashed. So now it's just us online. Will, do they know that they crashed in the building?
Maybe not. Peter, can you tell?
Yeah, they're saying the computer in the building is non-responsive.
Sorry, that was just me seeing if I can get in through to them.
Oh, okay, gotcha. We can continue meeting here. Oh, Moses, you're back.
As I was saying, if you can find out pretty much everything that we're up to and what all the other neighborhoods are up to from our website, districtfourcoalition.org. All the neighborhoods are represented there, right on the front page. We focus on our new newsletter, which I hope all of you are receiving, our D4 Voices. It sort of transpired out of the Sweeney newsletter, and now it's a very robust newspaper that we can be very proud of. And I get positive feedback from it all the time. No other coalition has anything quite like it. It's a little bit expensive for us, but we're also seeing large ticks in membership for most of the neighborhoods coming on. As soon as we release the newspaper, we'll see memberships coming on to our neighborhoods. We have a lot of data that we're pulling every time. We know how many people are opening the newsletter. We know who's reading the newsletter once they open it. And we're really keeping an eye on this because we want this to grow and grow and grow. So our D4 Voices. The services that we provide are diverse based on pretty much what a neighborhood is saying that they need. In general, we provide administrative services to all the neighborhoods that require it. We do everything from making sure that your Secretary of State registrations are up to date, your taxes are filed, you're doing your minutes, you keeping track of your membership, you're having meetings. We do, and we keep track of all of the administrative stuff for all of the neighborhoods. And because of that, and because all of our neighborhoods are in good stead, what I see, what the coalition sees as an advantage is our insurance rates are kept low. I only insure neighborhood associations, business associations, and Southwest Trails, which is kind of my odd person, but we insure them too. We provide insurance for all the neighborhood associations, both general liability insurance, which is available for all of your events. We provide certificates of insurance for anybody that needs them for any event that they're having. But we also provide directors and officers insurance. So if you get in trouble in some way, you do have an insurance policy that will cover you on that. I've never, knock on wood, had a neighborhood utilize it, but it's there for us. We have different programs. The one I'll concentrate on most, my personal mission here is to build the capacity of neighborhoods/communities to take care of themselves. And I want to do everything I possibly can so all neighborhoods can stand on their own and take care of your communities. I'm here to provide whatever resources I can muster that you might need to be able to do that. I'll just digress for a second. With everything happening in our country right now, it's really important to understand how local becomes super important right now. So I'm working local to make sure that our neighborhoods can take care of themselves and people in their neighborhoods. I'm also working to build local government stronger. With everything happening at the federal level, we don't know what's coming at us here. But it's really important that our very lowest level of democracy is thriving and that you get the resources you need to take care of the area within your boundaries. And I want that for all the neighborhoods, because if we can keep our neighborhoods strong, we can keep the city strong. And that's kind of where my head is at with regard to the federal issue going on around us. Local is where it's at. So when we talk about building skilled communities, we provide training in everything from doing your taxes, 990s, CT12s. We bring in an accountant. We ask neighborhoods to come with their little laptops and all of their records. We can help you get through all of your taxes. And there's a CPA on site to ask you any questions. We used to do taxes when we were with Neighbors West Northwest only. We had the funding to be able to pay for an accountant to do all the neighborhood's taxes, but we can't do that anymore. So what we do is we have a couple of training sessions. We bring in the accountant. Neighborhoods can sit there with the accountant and get their taxes done. We also bring in an attorney to talk about things like conflict of interest policy, which you have to have as a 501c3, records retention policy, which you have to have because not only are you a 501c3, you are funded through the city. And so the city requires that you keep your records in a certain way. So we can provide you with templates of records retention, conflict of interest, whistleblower, duty of loyalty, duty of care policies. Those are all things that we can get you to have your governance committee peruse, make your own, but we can provide all the backdrop for that. So you're not starting from scratch. We do crime prevention and safety. We don't have our committee kicked off. We had a committee, and then the city decided that we were going to be the District 4 coalition. And when that came on me, pretty much all hell broke loose on our entire scope of work for the entire year, because we had a scope of work for 11 neighborhoods, and now all of a sudden we were 32. So we're still working our way through what that all means for all of us. When we were Neighbors West Northwest, our public safety crime prevention group was pretty robust. And so we haven't gotten that moving yet for the entire coalition, but it is right there for me to, we have all of the mailing lists put together. We're ready to take the jump, but finding the time to actually, we need some key leaders in that. Ruth Hawkins, I believe, or Janet Hawkins, was very instrumental in the Sweeney Public Safety and Livability Committee. I was kind of hoping that I could bring her in with leadership for our Coalition Public Safety Committee, but she's on to other things. So I am looking for some leadership for that committee, but we're going to pull it together whether we have the leadership identified or not. We also have a little program which some of you may have participated in already, which we started out of the Neighbors West Northwest. It's called Coffee with a Cop. And that's a very specific program. It's not inviting a cop to your neighborhood association. It's really getting down with like maybe 12 members, no more, of your community, of your neighborhood. And you meet directly either with the Central Precinct Commander or somebody that he defines will meet with you. And that's really problem solving. Conversation with a cop is you meet with up to 12 people and you sort of talk about what problems you need to have the police concentrate on, and they will tell you what hotspots exist in your community. It's really get down and dirty with the police conversation. So we're happy to have that, and the police love that program. We're very close to PPB at District 4, and we like it that way, and we're going to work to keep it that way. So crime prevention. We also do some work with homelessness and houselessness. This committee pretty much has the central core neighborhoods involved. And we haven't really extended that invitation out to the entire District 4 coalition, but we're about to do that. And that is really a high-level housing solutions coalition, where that group thinks through things like, why is the joint office never able to provide the data that we need to make good decisions? So an individual from one of our neighborhoods stepped up. He's a graduate of Cal Poly. He's a data analyst. He really tore the joint office data collection system apart, got down into it, came up with great solutions. We were able to provide the joint office with a really robust document of things they need to look for. They're looking for a new software system right now for the Joint Office of Homeless Services. So we were able to provide them with a very robust set of criteria that they needed to be looking at. So we would begin to get data that works in the city's best interest. So that's a little bit about homelessness and houselessness. And I'll just give you, this is very new, but you know, the mayor has asked that, the mayor wants to create night shelters and day shelters. And I thought, well, maybe that's something that he could work with our neighborhoods to do. So we met, all the coalitions met with the mayor last week to talk to him about how could neighborhoods engage around helping you to set up night shelters and day shelters. And I'm just going to leave it with, we had a conversation. I will do whatever I need to do to protect the neighborhoods, to be honest with you. But I wasn't necessarily, I don't think the mayor was actually hearing us when we were saying, well, you know, neighborhoods, you all know this because you also have a Safe Rest Village in your town. The neighborhood has to have conditions that can work with whatever they're going to put in your community. And I'm not sure that we've convinced the mayor. It's more like guerrilla housing for our people, for our houseless people right now with our mayor. Just get them in someplace overnight. Just give them a roof over their head overnight and give them a place to go during the day. So he's going to be coming around. He's going to be presenting this to our District 4 coalition. He's going to be asking for neighborhood support. And I'm really looking for the neighborhoods to be quite clear on, if you should do this, what your expectations are for your neighborhood and what your conditions are. And for those of you that work to do your Safe West Village, you know those conditions are absolutely relevant. And so is your stakeholder group that surrounds there, absolutely relevant. We need those things in place. I don't know where the mayor is with this, but we'll know when he presents his project to the District 4 coalition. Land use and transportation, that's a big deal for the entire coalition-wide. When I was with the Neighbors West Northwest, we had very robust land use committees in each one of those 11 neighborhoods. And they knew more, for the most part, than a lot of the people even that probably work in planning and development. So they've been, and some of those committees have 17, 18 people on them in a neighborhood. So we never had a district, we never had a coalition land use and transportation, but we do now. And it is also very robust. Our first meeting, we had 37 people attend the meeting. And I made a joke at the meeting. I said, we've got more skill sets in the meeting probably than the city has. There are engineers on that committee. There are ODOT employees that are showing up on behalf of the neighborhoods they live in. There are PBON employees showing up on behalf of the neighborhoods they live in. There's a lot of skills and expertise on our land use and transportation committee. They've had two so far. They're about to have their third at the end of this month. So if you're interested in land use and transportation, please check our website. Please make it to those meetings. They're finding their way. They have a steering committee. They're putting together mission statements and deciding how they're going to pick leadership. I know one thing that I keep getting asked for. We have neighborhoods that are very robust in land use and transportation, and we have neighborhoods that have never done it before. So we're really working to set up some kind of mentoring program for some of our smaller neighborhoods. We also got planning and sustainability to reinstitute the land use ABCs because neighborhoods have asked for that. And they haven't done that program in a long time. So we expect that to be rolling out in the next month. That we'll start training on ABCs of land use and transportation. Our land use meetings are the fourth Wednesday of the month, and our steering committee for land use is the third Tuesday of the month. Again, our calendar, if you've not been to our website, we have a very full calendar. That's the biggest complaint I get. The calendar has so much information. You can filter the calendar. You can filter the calendar to see 2 neighborhoods. You can filter the calendar to see all the neighborhoods. You can filter the calendar to just see your neighborhood. So we try to get everything that we possibly can share with neighborhoods, the District 4 on our website. And then we have something near and dear to my heart, and I'm always happy if, like our small grants program, we funded $8,000 of a little over $8,000 of our small grants program went to fund net teams. I like to fund net teams because they don't have funding sources, and their equipment is going to perhaps help us live someday if we need their services. So I like net teams, and I really advocate for neighborhoods that don't have net teams to really work to get a net team. And then we have also watershed and stormwater programs out of BES and Multnomah Conservation District. Those are also on the website. And I know Seth Healy runs he's the West Side Watershed Management person. And I know that stormwater is a big deal here in the Southwest. Seth attended the meeting at Arnold Creek as well. So we do have, and we're talking about, and it came out of the Arnold Creek meeting, we're talking about setting up a watershed committee, which I think Sweeney may have had that. So we're going to look at instigating that. And that, again, is very specific to the Southwest. Stormwater runoff is a non-issue for downtown, for example. And you all don't even have stormwater infrastructure down here. So pushing at that a little bit for the Southwest. I'm going to leave it at that. If you have, I'll also say, we have 2 full-time staff people on our budget. That would be me and then Carl Hines. If you have anything to do with computers or your mailing lists or your membership lists or anything like that, we have 2 experts, 1 full-time, 1 half-time in the office to help with all communications and IT stuff for all the neighborhoods. And then we also have a part-time bookkeeper. And with that, I wanted hats off to Peter Sampson. Even though people didn't find your report necessarily interesting, Peter, bottom line is, as boards of 501c3, you're the man, because everyone that sits on this board is responsible for the fiscal aspects of this organization. So even if they don't want to hear you, Peter, you just jam it right at them, because they need to know. That's a big responsibility of nonprofit boards. Our governance, we work with things like helping you set up your bylaws, helping you to update your bylaws, making sure you have up-to-date conflict of interest, records retention, policies. So those are all things that we work with administratively with all the neighborhoods. My job is to keep you guys legal. So I appreciate all the help that you give. This is a larger neighborhood. I just wrote down this note. We have high functioning neighborhoods. You all are one of them. Pearl District would be another, Northwest District Association, Sellwood. And I'm kind of thinking that maybe there are things that I need to do for the larger, more, how should I put it? Larger established neighborhoods that really are well organized and doing lots of good things. So because you're not the same as some of the smaller neighborhoods that maybe have never done one thing about land use, or that maybe, yeah. And so I'm thinking that maybe we could elevate your neighborhoods by bringing even you all together and talking about some of the things that you all are doing. I know that the I know the Pearl District probably has a lot to share, and you guys probably have a lot to share with them as well. So it just dawned on me tonight that I have very high functioning neighborhoods, and I'm just wondering if there are things that we need to do for you that maybe we don't need to do for some of the smaller neighborhoods. So that's just something I'm thinking about. I'm going to open it up for questions if we have time.
8 o'clock on the nose. Let's have about 5 minutes worth of questions if we have any. Stefan, are you still there? I noticed your hand was up during the presentation. If you'd like to ask your
Sure.
question. Also,
This
I
is
see
kind of.
Bill. Go ahead.
Oh, hi. So this is kind of random. Have you ever done a Freedom of Information request? Freedom of Information Act request, or people call them FOIAs.
Have I ever
Is that
done one?
something?
Have I ever done one?
Is that something that D4 could help with if we needed it?
Absolutely.
Awesome. That's all I got, Moses.
And I've put Darlene's email in the chat. So if you want to reach out to her about anything like that, Stephen McLandrich is our our transportation chair extraordinaire.
Okay,
So,
excellent.
yeah.
Good.
Okay, then I see hands up from Beth Amansky and Mr. Southworth. So let's do, Bill, you go first and then Beth.
Yeah, over the years, I'm retired now, but I worked with a lot of organizations and leaders here and abroad. And I often use a tool called is not. And usually, I'd say in at least 90% of the cases, the is not part, in other words, what they hadn't done and needed to do, was the most important part. For the first time, I would, and this is a very high compliment for you, I'm not sure whether you would have any answer to a question. Is there anything that you forgot to do that you didn't do? Because what you listed is so incredibly impressive. So my hat's off, and I've got some Stetson hats that I could easily take off to you in praise of your work. And I'm delighted that you were here this evening to fill us in terms of what you're doing. It's incredible. So well done.
It's been an incredible ride, to be honest with you. It hasn't always been easy, and merging unlike neighborhoods is been a trip in and of itself. I wasn't, like I said, there are such cultural differences I wasn't prepared for, but we're on the road, and I really think we're coming together very, very well. And I'm proud of us. And thank you, sir, for your comments. I appreciate it. Miss Beth Omansky, welcome. And I'm so happy to say hi to you.
Hi, Darlene. I am so happy to hear your report. You made me tired. I don't know what you do, and you're just a delight to work with. I wanted to say that Stefan, our Star Transportation Committee Chair, has agreed to be our representative on the D4C Land Use Transportation Committee.
Excellent. Excellent.
Yeah.
Well, we need to make sure we get them on the list if they're not already on it. And
He's on it.
I think
Okay,
I am
great.
on, and I was at that last meeting, and it was very informative.
And it's just going to get better. It's just going to get, they're finding their way, but that's a lot of people's opinions to try to get your arms around and figure out a direction to move forward in. So good about that.
Good
Well,
stuff.
he's been just great, in our neighborhood, and I think you're really going to be impressed with him. And you're on the Land Use Transportation Committee. That's
Thank
all I
you very
wanted
much,
to say.
Beth, for sending them forward. Appreciate you.
Okay, I have 3 people here, 2 online, 1 in person that have questions. First up would be Lisa Carney-Fenton.
Hi, thank you, Darlene, for your presentation. I had to step away for a moment when you were talking about the mayor's plans for houselessness and the different quadrants of the city. And I'm wondering if your organization will, when he's citing these homeless shelters and SRVs, will be taking into consideration placing them in residential neighborhoods and adjacent to homes as opposed to more commercial or industrial areas. My experience living across the street from the Multnomah Safe Rest Village, I can speak to the ongoing problems, but I'm just wondering, the siting of these facilities, is that something that your organization will be looking at?
That's why I met with him. That's why I asked the other coalitions to meet with him as well, because I work a lot with, well, I work in Old Town. I'll start with that. And so much has been dumped on our neighborhoods with very little help. And if the neighborhood doesn't form its stakeholder group, doesn't have an oversight group or a stakeholder group of people that surround that site, then we're in trouble. And there will be trouble. He said that there would be 1,000-foot perimeter around each of the sites. He said that our neighborhoods would be better if once we had a shelter like this. For me, my job is to protect you guys from whatever you don't want in your neighborhood. So he's coming to the District 4 Coalition Board. He will make a presentation there. I am relying on neighborhoods to be clear in saying, we want this and we don't want this. I've already attempted to do that, and now I have to ask the neighborhoods, when he speaks to us, you need to be clear on, and you have experience down here, what works and what doesn't work. And that needs to be clarified, or else I am very afraid that this is guerrilla sheltering, overnight shelters, wherever, and he won't take no for an answer either. So that's on us as well. If a place is cited, he won't take no for an answer. So it's really important that as soon as we find out that a site has been identified, that the neighborhood, and I will work with you every step of the way on this, the neighborhood has to have its act together. And so I want to spend some time helping neighborhoods put some conditions together. Like, yeah, I'm going to lay it out with conditions.
So
what
is this meeting with the mayor? And what are we talking about, a time frame to create some sort of group that will be working with you from the neighborhood association regarding siting of shelters and whatnot?
I would say the mayor, you'll be seeing the mayor in front of the District 4 Coalition, April or May. And I say April or May because his budget comes out in May. And April, we have the district Southeast Uplift Coalition, their meetings are the same night as our meetings. So he's going to have one meeting one month, and then he's going to have another meeting the next month. So by May, we should have our list of conditions together about what neighborhoods absolutely need to have one of these shelters sited in their neighborhood. And you guys have experience down here. We have experience. We know what works and what doesn't work. And many neighborhoods do. So we'll get some conditions down there. We'll try to protect ourselves that way. But to be honest with you, I went in forward thinking, let's set the stage for the neighborhoods getting what they want. And I don't know. I can't tell you the next step from the city. I'm afraid that this is going to be guerrilla siting of these sites. So I want to have our ducks in a row as best we can when he comes to our board meeting. And I can't tell you if that's going to be in April or May. Here's more insight. You know, the city administrator's budget came out, and Civic Life had to cut their budget up to 8%. And almost that entire 8% came out of the district coalitions. I know. I know. And there'll be no small grants next year based on the city administrator. Now, I think one thing that none of us have grasped, but know that the city council will make that budget. They vote on the budget. So their needs are going to be heard. And I'm hoping that our three counselors will be on our team with whatever we would like them to be on our team for, and that they will fight for us for the budget. Olivia has looked me in the eye and said, you're going to get your money and I'm going to try to get you more money. But I don't know where the other two stand at this point. Am I
So
being too honest here?
more specifically, I'm on the
Mercifully honest.
coalition, not the coalition, the Community Advisory Committee for the Safe Rest Village. And
Okay.
I just wanted to
Thank
wonder, I'm wondering if the four of us representatives from the neighborhood association should be meeting with you to talk about the issues
Yes.
we've had here in the next couple weeks or months to
Yes.
try to get things ironed out as to.
And just so you know, your Safe Rest Village and the Queer Affinity Village downtown are considered by the city to be the two best run Safe Rest villages. So we're doing something that's working for us, but we know that it's an uphill battle all the way.
You know, and I may recommend, I don't mean to interject, but I just for the purpose of time, Lisa, may I recommend reaching out to Darlene so that Darlene can keep you in the loop? I think that's maybe Darlene needs to attend the CAC, the Multnomah Neighborhood Association Community Advisory Committee meeting. They do that once a month prior to the larger meeting that includes the city officials.
I would love that.
And I think that would be a great idea to get everybody on the same page, and you can get a much better feel of what Lisa and her compatriots there on that committee have been dealing with over the last 6 months.
Right. And, you know, we have a really good team set up around the Queer Affinity Village in downtown as well. So it'd be good if wouldn't it be wonderful to have these two groups in the room together? I think that's just, we should have done that a while ago.
Agreed.
Definitely.
Agreed.
To expedite things, and I will CC the board and I will reach out to you, Darlene, on behalf of myself and the other three people on the committee.
Perfect.
And then maybe you guys might be interested in coming to the Housing Solutions group as well. They're more, I'll just say, high-level thinking about this houseless situation. But if you're interested, I'd like to invite you to that too.
Okay, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. Thank you for your service with the village.
Okay, one last question from Peter Sampson. Peter, did you want to ask your question, pose your question?
Well, I just wanted to make the point that, and the subsequent contributors to the conversation have made it, that Darlene, when you say neighborhoods get their act together, that a good neighbor agreement is an important tool. And it's been really helpful for us to have the communication with city leadership through that, through the Good Neighbor Agreement and the Community Advisory Committee, of which Lisa is a member.
Yeah, you guys got a good neighbor agreement for your village?
Yep.
There'll be no more
Yes.
good neighbor agreements.
For better or for worse.
That's why your stakeholder group is becoming more and more and more relevant. The advisory committee is becoming the most relevant thing that we've got going for us right now. That was one thing that the mayor did say, there would be no good neighbor agreements. I don't know, you guys got a good neighbor agreement. The Queer Affinity Village still doesn't have a good neighbor agreement, and they're probably not going to get one. So
Ours has been in place now for almost 2 years.
yeah, and the QA Village still doesn't have one. And it's functioning beautifully, but it's all because of the stakeholder group and the stakeholder/advisory committee.
Right on. You know, it's funny too. I think I'll leave the conversation. We could talk for another half hour just on this one topic.
I know.
Very easily, but I will wait and let that be more in a different format or a different venue.
Yeah.
I have two questions. First for Patti and then from Mr. South.
It's okay.
Okay, I just want to tell you that I just got back from Texas and Alabama. I did not see a tent and I did not see a homeless person anywhere along the way, anywhere. And somebody had to point it out to me. It was kind of startling to go to big cities and everything. Okay, the other thing is, that sounds like a really small staff. Are you overwhelmed and you have backlog, big backlog. Sounds to me.
I wish you could see my desk, or no, I don't wish you could see my desk. I have organized piles of stuff to do. I will want to say, and this is on our mayor's behalf, you know, that man traveled the world to try to figure out the homeless situation. And his ideas are good and they make sense. The thing that I don't think he's connected with yet is how to make them successful and enduring in neighborhoods. But he has traveled. He's traveled to Portugal. He's traveled to Amsterdam. He's gone to New Orleans. He's gone to Nashville. He's gone to New York. He's been around on his own dime, he traveled this country to figure out how other cities were dealing with homelessness. And he brought his ideas here based on everything that he learned. And I don't think they're bad ideas. I just think that, well, let's just say we need to help him be successful. Let's just say it like that.
Good way of putting it. All righty. If there are no other questions, Darlene, I have placed your email address and the website for the coalition in the chat for the folks that are online. For folks that are here in person, if you'd like to get a hold of Darlene, I know she can give you a business card or may have some printed materials here.
I'll leave a few of them.
Oh, fantastic. I think that one, oh, okay. Oh, good.
Would it be all right if I stayed, because this is a learning experience?
You're very
for me as
welcome
well?
to stay. Of course, of course. We love it when when folks stay all meeting long, especially when they're joining me here in person. Okay, so and you did bring us free cookies, so you get the opportunity. You can stay. Okay, so once again, Darlene, thank you. Thank you very much. Good conversation, folks. Good conversation. Speaking of the MSRV CAC, Community Advisory Committee, let's get into committee reports. It's 8:17 right now. Many of you, most of the committees, if not all of the committees, have submitted reports that are available in the public meeting folder. So if you want more deep detail as to their activity over the last month for that committee, go there. For just make sure that I'd ask my committee chairs to be succinct given the time. So first up, Lisa. Lisa, you're on mute.
As Moses said, all this information is on the website, so I will try to keep it brief. I've broken my summation into 5 areas. The first is area projects. Cultivate Initiatives is working on cleaning up the Southwest 25th and Moss pedestrian walkway down by the Christian school in early March. I haven't been down there, but they're going to be improving that area. And then West Side Watershed is planning a gardening party inside the SRV on April 12th, which is a Saturday, and on April 26th. And if you're interested in volunteering, that information's on the Multnomah Neighborhood Association website. Another area concern around the SRV is parking. There's no update yet on the permitted parking that will be on Southwest 25th. That will be for employees mostly, and it sounds like some residents who have vehicles that are insured and licensed and are street legal. That also, the parking issue that is recurring is the SRV residents who do not have street legal or insured vehicles and where they're parking. They've been parking in the neighborhood and driving in the neighborhood. That's caused some concern, but Shelter Services does not have the capacity to really constantly be addressing those street illegal vehicles. So they will address vehicles that are camping, creating trash, and causing other challenging behaviors on the perimeter. So it's just a situation that the adjacent neighbors are dealing with. It's generally, the city is very responsive, and for really problematic situations, Shelter Services is responding. So that's the good news, but it's sort of an ongoing perimeter issue. Noise at the site is sort of another ongoing issue. The quiet hours are 10 to 7. the priority for the Safe Rest Village manager is to keep the noise down at night. And even during the day when it's excessive noise. And neighbors are strongly encouraged to call directly if they have noise issues. And I do want to just interject here that there's a new manager at the Safe Rest Village, and as an adjacent neighbor, he has been amazing. His name's Ryan Grissom, and he's been very responsive. We've had access to Ryan now for about a month, and he's been really good. So I strongly encourage all adjacent neighbors to call immediately, and we're getting better response from the Sunstone manager at the site. There's also a concern because some of the neighbors' backyards are right up against the pod. So if you imagine you go in your backyard and you're on your deck, and then you have a 10-foot setback from your deck to your fence, and then right beyond your fence is a pod, and doors slamming and noise issues are ongoing for those neighbors that are right up against the site. So we have asked, the reps have asked the manager to please give more attention to those areas of those neighbors who are most vulnerable to all that noise that's right beyond their fence. And he's going to be working with the staff to work on that. And then also regarding perimeter security, Urban Alchemy's been hired and they're working 7:30 to 4 Monday through Friday. Neighbors have reported seeing more activity and more presence from them. The 4 of us reps have asked that Urban Alchemy increase their patrols to include Southwest 24th, south of Multnomah Boulevard, all the way to Barber. And we've asked to increase patrols on the weekends. What happens on the weekends, there's no one to call. Sunstone can't leave the site and go help a neighbor. Police response is 3 to 4 to 5 hours. So the weekends have been problematic, and we've asked the city if they can extend the Urban Alchemy's hours, and we'll find out at the end of March at our next meeting what that ask, if they can help us there. And then just 2 other quick things. The lighting has been an issue for the adjacent neighbors. They did turn off one of the big halogen lights, and that helped. And then they also worked with Sunstone, who manages it, to turn off 8 other spotlights. So now neighbors that had spotlights glaring into their homes, some of those were remedied, but there seems to be still many neighbors that are not satisfied with the lighting glare. And so Shelter Services says they're done. They're not doing any more work on the lighting. And they said if neighbors want to, they can file a complaint with the city auditor's office. So I'm not sure where our group is going with that. You know, we need to meet with Moses and the board and discuss the next step, but that's sort of where we are. The city's done, as far as they're concerned, they're done with the lighting. So that's where we are on that. And then lastly, there's been loitering by the West Hills Christian School in the middle of the night. The school administrator determined that the people hanging out there were using the electrical outlet to charge their phones. So the school is going to lock the electrical outlet to hopefully deter any more overnight problems. So that's as brief as I can tell you, because there's always a lot going on at the SRV.
Though, Lisa, appreciate that. Succinct. All righty, next up. Next up is community events. Pam Fox.
Hi, everybody. I'm going to report on a few things for community events here. It's just me. Corinne, our co-chair, can't be here tonight. So I'm going to try a screen share. Oh, good. I'm allowed. So here we go. I want to talk just a moment about a traffic safety event that our neighborhood association is partnering in. It's coming up at the end of the month, the day that students return to school after spring break. And along the lines of what Darlene was mentioning about kind of fostering some inter-neighborhood synergy and that sort of thing, I am kind of thinking about this project that way. So we're working with Hayhurst neighborhood and West Hills Montessori School, Safe Routes to School, and also Maplewood neighborhood, because this event is happening on Vermont Street in the corridor just next to 45th. So that's the juncture of Hayhurst neighborhood, Maplewood, and Multnomah, right where Gabriel Park is. There's been chronic problems with speeding cars in the school zone between 50th and 45th there on Vermont. Last spring, a preschooler was almost hit by a speeding car while using the crosswalk with their parent. And so that's part of the impetus for this event here. Adults from any of these communities are invited to RSVP on our QR code here to show up on the morning of March 31st to hold signs encouraging drivers to slow down. And it's a pretty simple event. So part of what we've done with this whole project is last spring we wrote a letter to Mingus Maps and PBOT requesting safety upgrades in this section of the Vermont corridor. And we did get some helpful replies. So just recently, about a week ago, a speed reader has been installed in the school zone. So that's a small win from this project. So now cars are seeing their speed as they approach the school zone. So I will drop the link into the chat for anybody who would like to register to join me at this event, or please share this event with somebody else who might want to join us. It's open to all adults. Next thing I'd like to do is navigate you to our events portion of our website, because there's a lot going on there, and I hope folks can check this out and use it and find it helpful. So we have events going on from the Business Association, from the MNA. Oops, my browser is not cooperating. And you can scroll through and see all sorts of different kinds of things coming up. Updates from, let's see. In March, our Friends of Spring Garden Park committee did a few more stewardship events. We worked on restoring the nest sculpture at the top of the hill by cutting down extra willow plants at the bottom of the park and then using those natural materials to weave into the sculpture. More events are planned for April. In terms of collaborating with the Business Association, we're looking ahead to Multnomah Days, which this year is Saturday, August 16th. And the reason it's relevant now is because just a few days ago, registration opened up for booth registration. So vendors and various community organizations, if anybody's tied into something that wants a booth, register for it now, because a wait list will quickly form. PBOT Portland Sunday Parkways is returning to Southwest Portland for its third year in a row. And I think this is going to be their final rotation through our area in this 3-year cycle that they do. So everybody save the date for May 18th. They will be doing their grand announcement to reveal all of the dates, I think this Thursday, March 13th. And I also anticipate that that will be the day that booth registrations open up. So organizations will have the chance to register to have a booth at this event. You can choose the location of Spring Garden Park, right in the center at the Village, or in Gabriel Park. And the route for the Sunday Parkway event will be the same as the last 2 years. I've also tried to connect with D4C about the Voices edition for April and tying in the PBOT people so that we can get some good updates and promotion about that event in there as well. Let's see. Earth Day is coming up Saturday, April 26th in the Village from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. And MNA is hosting a Solve cleanup in the Village. There are right now 25 spaces planned for that event, and I think 19 of them are still available. If there does turn out to be demand for more than 25 spaces, Julie, who is in charge of this event as the livability chair, should be able to expand the size of the event. I know the last one was really popular and they expanded it. Looking ahead, May 1st, registration is going to open up for our second garage sale day, which is taking place July 20th. So you'll see more reminders next month. The lights in my house just went out. Sorry. Can you turn on the light over there? And the last thing I want to mention right now is we have one more event coming up in June, which is the repainting or the refresh of the street mural at the corner of 36th and Canby called Multnomah Mola. And there's a small grant from D4C to fund the repainting of that artwork, which is now 2 years old and was originally painted as a part of the 2003 MNA street art project, we called it, when we had a different small grant back in 2003 to kick off that whole art project. And I would like to introduce and then turn over for some comments to Alicia Barker, who is going to be the event coordinator for the Saturday, June 21st mural repainting event. So thanks for coming, Alicia, and I'll hand it over to you.
Yeah, thank you for having me, Pam. As Pam said, I'm Alicia Barker. I've lived in the neighborhood just over 4 years now, and I'm really excited to be involved in this opportunity for the street mural refresh. It was such a hit 2 years ago, and I felt very passionate to get involved for the refresh to get a little bit of a facelift. Just some key highlights of what has happened so far is, as most of you have known, we've got the grant approval to carry out this project, so that is very exciting. We have just submitted the block party permit to PBOT this week, so we should hear back from them by the end of this month. We're in the final stages of getting a contract signed with Alma, so she will be there on the day to help us out and get everyone coordinated for painting. Taste Bud will be providing lunch again, so that will be amazing. We've also received our first Venmo donation for the project, so how exciting is that? This is a project that will really be relying on you board members to help volunteer. So just a reminder that the event is June 21st, so mark it on your calendars. Please feel free to reach out to me or Peter Sampson if you have any questions or if you're eager to get volunteering. We'll be happy to answer any questions. My email's in the committee report, so you can find it there, and I can also drop it in the chat. Just want to keep it quick. I know we're running over, but thank you so much, and I'm very excited.
Alicia, thank you very much for volunteering to get this brought together. I love the fact that this is happening on the day of my birthday's on the June 20th. So June 21st would be a good birthday present for me to have that
Perfect. Maybe
mural
we'll work up
all
a cake for
renovated.
you.
Exactly. And I'll have to admit, I am so proud of that mural there on Canby. It's such a compliment to our neighborhood. And
Gorgeous.
if we get just half of the community participation that we had when we first put it in 2 years ago, we're going to have 100+ people there. So, but we're going to have, we have a lot. I imagine, Alicia, you're planning for a lot of people to be there for that. So good stuff.
It'll be a good
Let me-
turnout for sure.
Let me add that it's also summer solstice and the first day of summer.
Here we go. Only good things.
Thanks, Alicia.
Exactly. Thank you very much. Okay. Here, let's see here. Oh, no. Turn that back on. Okay. Next up, okay, the Livability Subcommittee, Julie submitted a report, but she's at Hamilton, so she can't speak to it. But Pam did hit some of the things that she was talking about, the most important, or not the most important, but the event that's happening the quickest here is that Earth Day event for the Livability Subcommittee, and that'll be coming up next month. District 4 Coalition, Beth, hello.
Jump in really
Hi.
quick, please.
Can you hear me?
Oh, here, wait a second, Beth. Diane, did you say something?
Yes, I just wanted to jump in really quick on the Livability Committee. Since Julie's not here, I just wanted to kind of make a note because I attended that event
Oh,
that she
good.
held,
Okay, please do.
last night, and yeah, it was really well attended. There were a lot of people there and a lot of interest from the community and like arts in the neighborhood. And I got to talk with Andy, who's kind of spearheading the idea for putting up the mural at the Coin Cottage. It's unfortunate Julie couldn't be here tonight, but like I heard a lot of discussions about helping to improve that design for the coin cottage among people that were attending. So I just kind of want to make sure that that Andy and Julie make sure that they take into account all of the voices are heard and input is considered before that project moves forward. So just putting that note in there since she'll record for the later on.
Diane, and to let you know, I did receive your email, and I really appreciate you bringing this to my attention, to the need for us to streamline and to articulate the process for that the vetting of this new mural that we want to do there, and to allow for the public engagement with it. When I posted on Facebook on the Multnomah Village page the mock-up of the mural that had been, to kind of the conceptual, proof of concept, if you will, mural that we were going to put there. And I was really interested that it was interesting that the responses to it from the neighborhood were varied. Some people liked it, some people didn't like it. But what the biggest takeaway I had was that they wanted to participate in the decision-making process of that. They wanted to be involved in what that final piece of artwork looked like, and not just, they didn't like us just doing the decision-making for it. They wanted to be a part of it. And that's all part of community building.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. So thank you for acknowledging that. And yeah, I just want to make sure that the mural, that it happens and that it's a success and everything that you just said. So I'm glad that we can work on the back end off of that too. Because I know we're over on time. So
we certainly will.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, perfect. Thank you for bringing that up, Diane. Okay, next up, Beth. Sorry about that. The floor is yours.
No, that was important. And I did send in a written report, and I did want to, I already announced about Stefan agreeing to be on the D4C Land Use Transportation Committee, so that's exciting. And I'm happy about that. And I also, if you look at that report that I submitted, you'll find a list of all the committees that the executive committee and then the board of D4C approved at the last meetings. I was able to, I'm going to brag a little bit here. I talked about the governance committee, D4C governance committee, in relation to my own experience on our committee and how important the governance committee is. And I'm glad you brought that up, Peter, because I intended to bring that up. I hope that we will bring that back. I think that we may have to talk about reforming all of our committees to be more in line with D4C rather than Sweeney is how they were formed originally. So, and that will take bylaws amendments. So it's something that can be discussed between now and November or October. I think that's all I wanted to say. Oh, also, I suggested that they have a community events committee, and they agreed, but they're calling it the events committee, and I'm going to continue to suggest that it be called the community events committee based on MNA's experience with how the community events committee has worked so well attracting the community into participating in MNA. So my experience with MNA has helped me advocate quite well with D4C. And, well, I hope it's serving them well. That's all.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Thank you, Beth. And you had Darlene's ear because she's right here hearing you making that suggestion. So that's good.
She and I spent a lot of time talking about it already. I'm sure we'll have more conversations about it, but I am going to request that still be named community events, requesting that be on the agenda for the next board meeting.
Well, I did catch that they're calling it the Land Use / Transportation Committee at the coalition level. And that might be a good solution to us having an empty land use committee. Yes.
And also we have a few committees that we don't need them right now.
Right.
That, like I said, we formed all our committees to coincide with how Sweeney was formed, and now maybe we can, because since we're part of a new coalition, maybe we should be making our committees to be in concert with theirs.
Yeah. You know, one thing I will say is this will be a topic for discussion at the work session in April. And
Good.
so I'll make sure that let's make sure that we talk about the structure of the committee's structure and getting it in alignment with the D4 coalition committee structure. I think that makes
Great.
a lot of sense.
Excellent.
Oh.
And I think that will help us not have so many vacancies.
Just wanted to add to that, and I have talked to the executive committee about aligning our committees with our counselor committees, which whatever committees are being set up by city council. So we're aligning all the way across the board, so we're not missing anything.
That
That's,
is a really
thank
good
you for that
idea.
information. That'll be really important in our work group session.
That just
We
made me
have to
think.
go look
That's
at
a
their-
really good idea.
Yeah.
Good, Beth. Okay, well, I'll leave it to Beth to monitor that and to report back on the future of that alignment. Let's see, who do we got next? Equity, Will Fuller.
Hello, okay, equity. I will be very brief, but we do have a written report for equity on the meeting website, meeting page. But what I wanted to announce now is that coming out of the session with Sophia Clark, Peter met with a woman named Sarah Stebbins, Dr. Sarah Stebbins. She's the head of the Hayhurst neighborhood, and her passion is equity, especially racial equity. We met with her, Peter and Julie and I this morning, and she is fiercely eager to work with us, has some great ideas, has a broad background in equity from all over the country, plus her professional training is in change management and organization. And so she's fully on board to working with us to beef up our equity activities. And one thing she mentioned, which is an obvious one, when we choose what's important to us, be sure we have consulted thoroughly with the people affected by the change, i.e. the people who need the help. And so more tune in coming on for equity. We're developing a budget for projects which are started by people who actually are affected by the changes. Okay, that's it.
I would like to add something, if I may, as a member of the Equity Committee.
Oh, sure.
Sorry for the late notice on this. There's going to be a training at St. Luke's Lutheran Church on March 22nd from 1 to 2:30, where we will learn how best to advocate or support people, undocumented immigrants who are perhaps going into ICE meetings, so forth. I'm not explaining that quite well, but we're going to get training on do's and don't do's for being good allies to undocumented immigrants. If you're interested in going to that, please email me at bethfomansky@aol.com, and I can get you registered for the training. Again, it's March 22nd from 1 to 2:30 at St. Luke's Lutheran Church. I think that's 45th in Vermont. And the training will be conducted by Francisco. I'm sorry, I can't remember his last name, but he lived at that church for 81 days at one point. He's really put himself, he's from, I think, El Salvador, and he's really put himself out in the community at his own peril to help train us how to be best allies. I attended one meeting where he spoke for about half an hour, and he's quite an impressive guy.
And that's an example of the people who are actually involved leading the conversation. Thank you.
Exactly.
Beth,
All
could you
right.
repeat your email address, please?
It's Beth, Beth, F as in Francis, Omansky, OMANSKY, at AOL.com. That's old school.
It's in the chat too.
I put it in the chat as well, Beth. And
Oh,
also,
thank
and Darlene had a comment in regards to that as well. Go ahead, Darlene.
I wanted to say is somewhere on our website, and if you can't find it on our website, I had developed by a person who specializes in social equity, and she has written a toolkit for us. So I'm not saying that it's the be-all end-all, but it does give you good insights into the expansiveness of this topic. So, and it goes into things like, well, one thing it asks you to do is take a look at your neighborhood demographics, but it also talks about how to do an assessment for your disabled, how to deal with BIPOC, work with BIPOC communities. So, social equity toolkit, it's not the be-all end-all, but it's pretty handy for doing this work. It's got some really good ideas, and that was put together by a PhD student at PSU who has focused her education on this. And just one last thing, we had an amazing art show at D4C over the weekend, and we had all Hispanic and Indigenous women. So it was a women's art show, and Hispanic women and Indigenous women were the artists, and it was a fantastic show. So thank you for doing your social equity.
Darlene, the first time I ever talked to you was when you called into Sweeney. I think it was the first time you were addressing Sweeney, way back when. And I offered to help rewrite that toolkit, especially with regard to disability. As many of you know, that's pretty much my expertise and my passion. And I'm still on board to do that. And Will Fuller, our equity chair, is also interested in participating in helping review and perhaps edit the toolkit.
I would love that, Beth. And I would also like to bring in the author because she needs to hear from you as well. So let's do
That
it.
would be, a meeting with her would be great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Amen. Amen. Way to go.
Three more committees to go, and we're almost done, folks. First up is the Friends of Spring Garden Park. They are having Pam, can you give a quick synopsis on what they got coming up?
Sure. So we have an event. We have a movie in the park coming up. Save the date for July 25th. The movie is going to be Coco. We also have nominated a former leader of the former Friends of Spring Garden Park group that used to be housed within Sweeney for a PGE Parks Champion Award. That person is Lori Willis, and she really just did a lot of awesome work starting around 2008, lasting more than 10 years, kind of ushering the park from a field all the way to the developed park that it is today. So she will be getting an invitation to go to that award ceremony on May 21st. That's a Portland Park Foundation event.
Pam, did you nominate Lori?
Yes.
Well done. Well done.
Yeah, and
Lori's
thank you,
great.
Beth, for the suggestion for that, because I was aware of the opportunity to nominate somebody, but it just wasn't coming to mind because I actually haven't met Lori yet. But the nice thing is I think I get to meet her at this event if she can come. So it'll be a really cool thing to kind of bridge the gap between the former group and then the current group that we're getting kind of reinvigorated now as a committee within the M&A.
Well, you're welcome, Pam, and thank you for following up on it and picking such a wonderful person to nominate for that.
Yeah, we're excited about it. So, and there's a whole group of people that were involved, and I've gotten to interact with a lot of them, which is really cool. The only news from the Parks Department that we're getting is that they're just in the process of going through some budget cuts, and decisions about what that will look like will be decided and enacted by May. And that it will be affecting some of the services that we see in the parks, like around horticulture and different maintenance and upkeep things. So we're going to be, trying to do our volunteer activities as much as always. And one just update is that I'm going to be hopefully next month introducing a co-chair of Friends of Spring Garden Park, and that person, an interim co-chair. Her name is Sarah Dodge, and she's been really involved in the volunteer events for the last year or so, and she lives near the park, and she's really great. So she's in the process of finishing her MNA application for membership, and when she comes to the April meeting, she'll be a member, and I will introduce her. In addition to promoting nature play and doing the movie in the park and the stewardship events, one thing that we're casually exploring for the future of Friends of Spring Garden Park is the opportunity to bring in the topic of watersheds, because we have a vacant watersheds committee and because we are the home of the headwaters of Tryon Creek right next to the park. So if anybody's just interested in that topic, I'm open for just conversations about it, and we can just explore where that might take us. That's all from me.
You know, we have Westside Watershed Management as part of our group, so Seth is all in.
Yes,
You know
and
Seth Healy?
I do know Seth, and I'll be connecting with him on this as well. And if we wanted to do a special watershed stewardship event, it shouldn't be too hard, because I know they have their own volunteer pool, and we could just arrange a special event anytime in the future. So that's just something we want to get on the radar for this group, because of just kind of the special feature of our neighborhood having that there.
And Darlene, this is Peter. We know Rachel as well, and she's an MNA neighbor. So.
Oh, I didn't realize that Rachel was in Multnomah.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Reminding me of that. I did not know that Rachel was technically in Multnomah, so good to know.
Yep.
Excellent, excellent. We have a wealth of riches here, I tell you. Okay, 2 more committee reports, and then I do want to give a quick update on committee structure, on committee issues. We have communications and transportation are the final 2.
Okay.
Let's do it alphabetically. Communications, C.
Okay, very good. Okay, what do we do? We'll also be brief here. I have the written report on the meeting page. And basically what we're doing is we have a communications team. We're calling it a team rather than a committee because it's people who are already active in other committees. But we're having a meeting on the 13th going over a framework for coordinating our communication activities. And when I say communication, that's external communication to the community base or to and from the community. But we are trying to and doing an unsiloed communications project where people's activities are listed on a calendar. They collaborate with each other. People build specialties in certain types of social media. And we're scoping so things are actually able to be done by real people with busy jobs and busy lives. So with meeting on the 13th, there'll be more coming out to communication. And if you have communication issues with the neighborhood, like the website and other places, give us a call or come on the website and talking to it directly. My phone number's on there. And we really want to have communications be something which is an integral part of what we do in all of our activities. That's it.
I will say that I've been really pleased with the communication committee's recent work in streamlining our outgoing messaging to, especially to D4. We in their Voices newsletter. Hats off and thank you. Last but not least, transportation. Mr. McLandrich, are you there?
All right. Thank you, Moses. I don't have much to report. I've been getting pulled in many, many directions. And so depending on which month it is, I'm now attending our Fixing Our Streets Oversight Committee meetings. I'm the chair on that. I've got this meeting. I'm now going to be doing the D4 land use and transportation meetings. And I don't think I've mentioned this yet, but there's also a sort of Sweeney Transportation Committee reboot, which is being organized through Southwest Trails as a Southwest in Motion Plus. if you guys are familiar with Southwest in Motion, it is a process that the city does where they ask you what you want, and then when you tell them what you want, they put it on a list and then tell you there's no funding for it. And so we're trying to reverse the narrative on that. I think that there was a recent town hall meeting where Olivia Clark came, and I wasn't there, but I did get some feedback from the leader of the Maplewood Bike Bus. Maplewood Bike Bus starts out from John's Market right in Multnomah. And to paraphrase, what he said was that there's no money for any transportation improvements. So it's very depressing and disheartening, and I'm not sure what the plan is, except, when it comes time to vote, we vote in 3 new commissioners, and maybe we get better luck next time. I do have a meeting with Mitch Green set up in a couple weeks, so we'll see if there's any light at the end of this tunnel. But what I'm hearing is that for the next generation, we won't really see any significant funding in our neighborhood for any transportation issues that y'all might find. That's really sad, but that's, I think, where we're at, unfortunately.
Oof. Blunt talk, man. Blunt talk.
But I would like to find out if there's information on where transportation funding is going, because there is funding. PBOT has a massive budget. There's massive dollars being spent. And so when we need like 10 grand to like make a bumped out curve on Multnomah 35th, it's like, hey, sorry, we're broke. So anyways, that's the transportation report.
But Stefan, we have a I don't know how to say it.
We're cooking up. We're
going to try
stuff,
to make
Beth.
some.
I'm not giving up just yet.
No, and we're going to do some ADA advocacy on.
That's right.
Project.
Exactly.
Oh, that's right. The ADA advocacy.
Yeah.
Two things I want to mention really quickly. First
Excuse
off,
me.
when
One more second.
Yeah.
Stefan and I have a date to go out and review intersections together and figure out how to apply for ADA resources to get those fixed.
Yep.
Good. Okay, three things I want to mention. First off, at the constituent coffee, Peter made it a point to lasso Jimmy Radistol, the aide to Olivia Clark, and actually took him over there to the intersection and pointed out to him the challenges that we're having with that issue.
We walked across the street. We walked through the intersection there and back, and he took some photos. And when the topic came up, when Rob Kenny brought the topic up at the subsequent meeting, Jimmy was in the back nodding and taking notes. So
good.
There's a small victory, I think.
And I did also reach out to Councilor Clark as well as Councilor Green. Councilor Green's chief of staff got back in touch with me, and we set up a meeting. So I did not get that from Olivia Clark yet, but I'm going to keep trying.
Good. Second of all, next time when I run for city council again, I'll make sure we have budget for transportation issues like this. Okay. And stormwater, exactly. And what was the third thing I wanted to mention? I'll think of it here, but I know that Diane also had a comment. Diane or Matt?
Sorry.
Diane Parrish?
Thank you, Moses. Sorry, this is Matt. Yeah, Stefan, that is pretty disheartening news, but not unexpected. And I'm sure you're aware that the cost of ADA ramps, with everything included, design, permitting, and not just construction, has increased astronomically. That ask alone is a pretty large ask. But yeah, I hope there are some other avenues, whether it's sidewalk rebates and improvements we do on our own or something in that realm. But yeah, it doesn't seem like it's going to be something that's going to happen anytime soon.
Yeah.
Except that it's federal law, that they must comply with federal law. So we have that.
Yeah.
And
It's the
okay,
law,
we also,
yes.
yeah. One, Patty also has a comment here.
Quick comment to transportation. I drove out of Rite Aid on Beaverton Hillsdale Highway and blew 2 tires. And I pulled into the Jiffy Lube or whatever it was. They said, oh, it happens all the time. People come in here with flat tires. So I went back and took a bunch of pictures and I sent it all to the city of Portland with diagrams and everything. And they sent me a check for 4 new tires. Maybe something
Really?
needs to happen at your corner.
Wow.
Interesting.
You need to be on the
Okay.
transportation committee too, Patty.
Wow. And, and I do want to also mention 2 things. Well, actually, I'll wait until, Bill, go ahead. I see your hand is up. Go ahead and say your piece and then I'll wrap up with my comments. Say that again?
What's their address for 4 new tires?
It's a joke. Never
It's a
mind.
joke.
The
It's
4
all
tires
right.
had to be the same, so they all had to be replaced.
Gee.
And I was very surprised, but they went out and fixed the curb that was causing all the problems. It was, you couldn't see it, the way the ramp coming out of that parking lot, and there was a big curb underneath it. So everybody was hitting it. But I did something about it.
Good job.
Oh, I love it. Don't mess with us community activists. I mean, I tell you, that's awesome. Okay. That was the last of our committee reports. Next month, I put in a request with Olivia Clark's assistant there, Jimmy, and there's a very good chance that she'll be our guest speaker at the April meeting. So I need to align that up. Also, I just have to acknowledge that Mr. McLandrich, Stefan, I almost didn't recognize you without that beautiful handlebar mustache of yours. I thought I would compensate by getting a little grizzly myself here. Look at that. You look like a baby without that mustache. I love it. Okay, and last but not least, I did not do this. 2 things I need to do some housekeeping here. Sanjuro. Here, wait a minute. Let me turn the camera around. I want to introduce to everybody Sanjuro Jadeo. Sanjuro is a Multnomah resident. He has stepped up to volunteer to be the Public Safety Committee Chair. And so I just want to give him public acknowledgement of that and let you know, welcome to the team. And then also on a side note, which is a sad one, but understandable. One of our board members, Carolyn West, has had to step down. She decided that she's got so much going on, she decided that she needed to step down. And I just wanted to just acknowledge the fact that she is, I'm going to miss her. Carolyn was good people. And she loves this neighborhood, and that's why she volunteered in the first place. So that is it, folks. It's 9:03. We're only a few minutes behind, but I do want to say thank you to everyone. Darlene, here, go ahead.
Yeah, I have one last announcement, and actually you guys are the first to hear this. April the 1st at 6 o'clock at the Portland Building, the budget office is taking testimony about what residents think should be restricted from the budget and what neighborhoods think should be budget priorities. They're taking live testimony. They keep changing. It's like a little moving target for me, but within the next day, you'll be getting something because I'll be sending it out. We're going to massively mail it out to all the neighborhood board members. April the 1st, 6 o'clock, they're taking testimony on what you consider to be priorities for the budget. And I would recommend that somebody speak up about your transportation issues for sure. That's a good place for that as priorities. Stormwater, also big for priorities. So I hope some of you will consider signing up for testimony. And then on March 24th, we're going to do a quick and 1 hour how to testify in 90 to 120 seconds. So just give you some points about how you want to do it. I personally think that you should come in with bullets that say, these are the priorities, this is what needs to go away, and just go like that. But you can do it however you want. April 1st is budget testimony for District 4. April 1st.
And I will admit too, I'm trying to work out a deal with, for a budget listening session here in Multnomah with at least with Olivia Clark. It's interesting. Counselor Clark has been amazingly responsive. You know, she's doing it.
You might need to give me Robbie's email then.
Yeah. Well, which email?
Robbie or whoever her staff assistant is.
Stephanie. Yeah, Jimmy. I'll make it a
Jimmy,
point to. I
yeah.
can get it to you for sure. Okay. So, hey, let's wrap up. Thank you all very much for attending tonight. Good meeting. And we'll see you next month. Thank you.
Thank you, Darlene, for staying through the whole meeting.
Yes. Thank you, Darlene.
Good night, all.
See you all.
Good night.
Experience for me always. Thanks.
Bye.